This thing is desperate need of some good TLC. Look how shiny it was under that original sticker. And if you have any questions or comments other than you're insane, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Today, instead of working on the truck like normal, we've got something a little bit different in store. So if you've seen the title of the video or the thumbnail, we're going to be working on this instead. So let's take a look at what we've got going on here and let me explain a little bit. So this is a 1997 Sunbird Coral boat. And so we were given this, before we get started obviously, this is going to be a full restoration video, or what I hope will turn out to be a full restoration video. We were given this boat, and so we're going to see just what it's going to take to bring it back to life. It's been sitting for approximately 20 plus years. I don't know the full backstory on it and all the history exactly of what's going on with it, but it's been sitting for quite some time. As you see here on the front with our wall spray here, the Wasps have set up a full community. I think they have a homeowners association and everything else in here. So we've emptied about 2 or 3 cans into this thing in the hopes of trying to get all of them to vacate the premises. I'm sure there's some left over that we'll find, unfortunately, but we've tried to get rid of the majority of them. But it's a 19-foot boat. You can see it's been sitting. We pulled it out the woods. It's been sitting for quite some time, and it's going to need a lot of work. First things first, we're going to get it cleaned up, washed, see what kind of damage, if any, the hull has, what's going on with the exterior of it. Obviously you can see from the interior, the vinyl and everything is ripped from sitting over the years. From what I understand, and the little bit of information I do have, is that it was only used a handful of times over the years, and then it was basically parked and it's just been sitting. So the motor, it's a 152 stroke Evinrude motor, and again, we're going to put some power to it. We're not going to try to crank it just yet. We're going to go through a few maintenance routines first before we do anything like that. But we're going to try to put some power to it, see if there's an hours meter on this boat, see what's going on with it, and what kind of information we can get from it before we crack everything open and really start to dive into the motor. You can see the trailer's in pretty good shape. We've already put some new tires on it to get it home, obviously. And so the trailer's okay, and you know, it's just really dirty. It's got a lot of foreign matter growing on it and in it and around it. One thing I was a little disappointed to find out was that it did have a wooden floor in the majority of it. I think the part up front is fiberglass, but the majority of this is a wooden floor. So that will have to come into play too once we get this old carpet and all of the junk out of it, to see just what kind of shape this is in, you know, how much would have to be replaced and all of that. So we'll get to that too. But overall, I think the majority of it is in pretty decent shape. We're just going to have to get it cleaned up, then see what that motor does. If the motor's shot, this project might be dead in the water right off the bat. But those are the first 2 steps we got to do, and then see where we end up. So if you want to follow along with this project and see start to finish what happens with the boat, like I said, first step, we got to get it clean. We got to get all the stuff out of it, all the loose stuff, the trash, the sticks, the leaves, all the junk, everything out. See what we're left with, what we really would have to do to get this thing in any sort of working order. And then step 2 is the motor. We've got to figure out whether or not that thing will turn over, whether or not it's going to fire, what kind of shape the fuel system's in. It's got an oil injection system as well. We got to check all that stuff out. But first, we've got to do some maintenance to the motor itself. Check spark plugs, check compression, all of that good stuff to see, is this just going to be a lost cause, or if it'll be worth trying to save and do anything with. Again, since it didn't cost us anything, whatever money we put into it, we're just going to try to do the cheapest possible to get it back into working condition. We're not gonna go overboard with spending a bunch of money on it till we see what kind of shape it's truly in. So if you want to subscribe, follow along with the project, I appreciate it. See what we end up doing with it. If you got any comments or suggestions other than maybe put it back in the woods, you know, leave a comment down below or ask any questions. I'll try to answer them. But let's get to it and see if we can't clean this thing up and what it looks like. Here's another look from the bow, kind of inside. You've got some leaf-filled cup holders, some grab bars. Of course, all the vinyl in here, excuse me, is ripped and torn. So all of that would need to be replaced. The cushions have been probably chewed up, or some mice or rats have probably, you know, recycled the cushions for their nests. So all that would need to be fixed and replaced. I don't know if you can buy, you know, pre-made, prefabricated cushions for replacements. I'll have to do some Google searches. If any of you guys happen to know of any good places to look. I know there's general stuff like Overton's and other websites that have that kind of stuff, you know, for sale, but I don't know if there's any direct replacement cushions for stuff like this. So we've got to do some research on that. Like I said, the interior up here is all fiberglass, so that hopefully will be able to be cleaned. We've got some interesting growth in the boat here that's been hanging on for a while. And so we just got to get this thing cleaned out, cleaned up, see what we've got, and if it's even going to be worth trying to you know, restore and be usable at all. Again, it'll all hinge on that V6 Evinrude back there in the back, whether or not this will be a project we want to continue with. But for the time being, you guys can follow along and see what it looks like to get cleaned up. And here's another look from the inside. We've got a radio up top, some cup holders, glove box, steering controls. There is an old fish finder on it. I highly doubt that any of that still works, but you know, maybe. You can see the ski locker in the storage compartment down there. That's a fiberglass ring, but I imagine it's set in the wooden floor. I hope it's fiberglass maybe back to a certain point. We got to get this old carpet ripped out of here so we can see exactly what's going on underneath. We've got some old speakers, we've got the oil injection system, battery compartments over there, all the motor stuff, some more cup holders. These seats will recline and lay out. And so, but again, the bad part about that, we'll show you when we get to that point, is the base of these things is all wood. And so, you know, you've got rot and weather and everything. It's kind of interesting how they put wood in some of these boats, but it seems like that's kind of a normal thing. But we've got to get all of this stuff ripped out, cleaned up, and see what we're left with, see how much we'll actually clean out, and go from there. But yeah, there's a look at the inside and all the fun stuff we've got in here growing and accumulating. So there's the old cushions that go in the corner seats back here, and again, some more ripped vinyl that would have to be fixed and replaced. And but just going to be a pretty lengthy project and process to try to really clean this thing up and see what kind of shape it's in. I think this blue is painted on there, but the stripes are pinstripes and you can feel those. So that may eventually have to come off because you can see there's some damage on the stripes and stuff here too. But we're gonna clean it up first, pressure wash it. I've got some buffing things and see how much it'll clean up and what we're left with. So again, I'll quit talking now and let's get started. here's a quick look at where we are so far. So it's coming off pretty decently. There's some spots on here, mold, mildew, algae, I don't know what that is, growing on the boat that's gonna take some actual elbow grease and some soap to get off, but it'll come off just fine. But this has got a good finish to it. It's nice and slick just with pressure washing it, so without even buffing anything yet. I'll show you the buffer and the stuff that I got that I'm gonna try to, you know, really bring the shine back on this in a little while when we actually get to that point. But so far everything looks real good. The hull is shining and all the stuff blasted off the hull. I'm not seeing any nicks, cuts, scrapes, holes, anything in it. And so this little white line that's inside this gold trim, you can see it right here, is just blasting off with the pressure washer, so no big deal. And for the most part, the paint and the stripes and stuff are holding up pretty good. Does look like we might have had some dock rash or something go on right here, but that's not a big deal in the overall scheme of things. So you can see where I left off. Obviously I'm trying to get the bottom half of it kind of cleaned up, even though that's probably in reverse order. All the dirt and everything's gonna drift down and I'll have to spray it back off, but just to see what things look like. We do have some sort of crack you can see there. Looks like something might have hit it or fell on it, cracked it, but it's not structural. Just looks like it's got a little spider web crack in it. Not a big deal there either. But yeah, so far it's cleaning up rather easily just with some pressure washing. So we're gonna kind of spray these windows off, glass off, see what it looks like, kind of finish up the side of the boat, some of the back, and then hop on the inside and see what we can do with it. We sprayed off the windshield just on this side. Of course, you can see how dirty the original was on this side. And then this glass cleaned up good. Of course, we didn't do the inside just yet. This is just the outside, but it cleaned up pretty good. And then there's the side window, still dirty. We're fixing to spray it off now. But yeah, that looks good. And of course, we still got this monster to tackle here. And then inside. But we're making progress. The sides are cleaning up pretty good. Everything's nice and slick, and we'll just keep on working. Here's a quick update on where we are at the moment. I still have not made it to the inside at all yet. This is going to be a lengthy clean process. I think it'll be well worth it when it's done, but it's going to take some time to get there. I've probably been just pressure washing about an hour and a half so far, and I've gotten this side pretty much cleaned off. We've got the windows on this side, again, not the interior, so it still does look dirty. And of course, nothing's actually been cleaned with soap or any kind of cleaning agent. It's just pressure washing so far. So it's actually cleaning up pretty decent. You can see the chalky residue on the boat once it dries back out. We've got some Meguiar's boat and RV polish for fiberglass. It's got something to take that residue off, that chalky residue. You can see where one of the original stickers was on here. Check that out if it'll pick it up on there. Look how shiny it was under that original sticker, and then versus the oxidation on the side. But again, all we did was pressure wash it so far, about an hour and a half. We've gotten to the back corner and working on that right here. And so that's where we are at this particular time. Then we've got to, I think I'm gonna try to pressure wash this whole back side and the engine so we can start taking a look at it, seeing what it's all about, if it's locked up or if it's gonna run, turn over or what. But yeah, so that's where we are at the moment, and we're just gonna keep on pressing on and see if we can get this thing cleaned up inside and out. All right, so we've kind of done the side of the boat over here. So is somewhat clean, just pressure washed. So we wanted to move to the inside here, and we got to rip these seats out. So I'm gonna pull on these seats. It's got some latches inside. Well, I guess we're gonna have to lose our friend here. See if we can pull that out. We might could replant that somewhere. Save that. That's a nice tree. All right, let's see what's under here. Hopefully all the wasps that we sprayed are still vacated and hadn't come in, but there's one piece. And there's the other piece. So, okay, so that's, I'm not sure what that is. That almost looks like a piece of fiberglass or something there. So there's no rot on that, so that's a nice thing. That's not wood. So we can be able to figure out how to put new cushions in here and reskin these with some new vinyl. So I'm gonna gently put that over the side so we can save that. Let's try to see if we can get this side out. Oh, okay. We're good. We're still good. There we go. Alright. So yeah. So that we can save. We just have to put new cushions in it and reskin it. Now, I don't know how we get the bottom cushions out. I don't know if they're Velcroed or what. We're gonna pull on those, see what happens. Oh, well. Okay then.
They're hatches.
Yep, we've got hatches and storage. Oh, there's a nice wasp nest. I think it's old. So I don't know if that's covered and that's wood or what that is. We'll have to check that out. But we can take these out and take that out, and then we're gonna start cleaning all of this. So we're making some progress with the boat, but it's gonna be an insanely long process because this thing is desperate need of some good TLC. We've pressure washed both sides of the boat. I'll show you the other side in a second. And the front of the boat here, if you can see down in there, it still looks dirty. It definitely is dirty. We've got a long road ahead of us here. So if you want to subscribe and keep up with this video and this process and see how it turns out once we're all finished with it, you know, I'd appreciate you following along with the journey. It's going to be an insane one. But anyway, so we've pressure washed both sides. For the most part, most of the grime and everything came out. We pressure washed the front, took the cushions out. We did the windows and the windshield and everything, and those cleaned up pretty good. We haven't done the inside of anything yet. I'll show you that again in a second. But we've got some chemicals and some Meguiar stuff that we used to clean this. We're under some oak trees out here, which is great for cleaning things and keeping things clean, if you can't sense the sarcasm there, because it's already dropping stuff all over the boat and making little marks and leaving trash. So once we get this thing a little further along, see if it's going to be a worthwhile project, all that good stuff, we'll definitely invest in a nice boat cover to keep all this crap, trash and everything out of it. But at this point, it's a little too early to worry about that stuff. So, but we did do a 3-step process on the hull, and I'll show you a little closer now. So here you can kind of see already we did the oxidation remover. Again, don't pay too much attention to some of these spots. That's from the oak tree that just got back on there. So all that comes off and it cleans up really good. We did the oxidation remover, we did the polish, and we did the wax. And we used the buffer for that. And you can see pretty good how nice everything is shining up so far. And even the boat's not really, or the hull anyway, is not really in that bad a shape. And so you can kind of see, or I think you can, the line where I stopped right there. You can see the oxidation left on the hull. And then as you get further back, you can definitely see how oxidized everything is and that finish and all that. So we've got a good bit of buffing to still do, but it's coming along. And I just did this front corner right here, and you can see that paint and the shine that's restored on there. And just gonna be a process. We got to work on that. And then if we kind of step in and show you the inside, again, we've definitely got to do some cleaning, some more cleaning, but we pressure washed it and cleaned it up some, got a lot of this out. There's 2 storage hatches underneath the seats up front, and there's I think this is a cooler. It's got a drain that drains out, and you can put some ice and drinks and stuff in there, but I think you can use that as a cooler, and then you can put your anchors and life jackets or whatnot up here if you wanted to. But if we take a look at the other side, go around to this side, you can kind of see just how oxidized everything is on this side. And again, all we've done here is just pressure washed so far. So what I'm having a time with is this mold, mildew. I'm not sure what this is, this algae growth that's on there. If you look inside, the inside is covered with it. So again, this is pretty ugly on the inside. It's going to take a lot of work, but yeah, it's absolutely covered with that stuff. So that's going to be fun to get all of that off. But keep staying tuned and follow along with us with the process. We've got a lot of work left to do. We're going to get the tools back out, start working on some of this stuff, trying to get it off the side, this leftover stuff. Most of it came off pretty good. I'm going to look at a few different chemicals and things to try to get these things off a little easier, but they will come off. And so we're going to just keep pressing on. The next video that we're working on is the engine. That's the most important thing. We're going to hook the battery up to it, do some tests with it, see if that thing will even turn over, or how it's gonna sound and work before we get too much further into the restoration process. Because as you can see, the inside is going to be a monumental task. It needs new seats, it needs new flooring, it's got to be cleaned, it needs new speakers, radio, everything. So we don't want to go too far in this overall process before we see what this motor does and how it's gonna react. We've already got some spiders trying to set up shop once again in this thing. It doesn't take long. If you can see the web on there, it doesn't take long at all, and they've set up a community. But that's step 2. So if you want to follow along with us, I'd appreciate it. It might be a very fun, interesting journey to see start to finish how this thing goes. So if you want to, subscribe and follow the process. We've got a lot of other stuff on the channel you might be interested in watching. And if you have any questions or comments other than "you're insane, I can't believe you're doing this," leave them down below and I'll answer anything I can. And I appreciate it. Leave a like if you want to, and we'll catch you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.